All right. Well, good morning. My name is Zach Chadwick. I'm the product manager and one of the developers of CloudShark. I work here at QA Cafe in the Seacoast area of New Hampshire. And happy to have all of you here on today. And I wanted to just walk you through a little bit of CloudShark, tell you what it's about, talk about packet analysis, talk about collaboration over packet analysis, and answer any questions that you guys have as they come up. So what we're talking about are capture files. Well, what are they? Where do they come from? What happens to them when we're done with them? And how do they really help us explain what's going on in the network? Now, at a high level, a capture file is just a snapshot of your network traffic. It's going to be anything that's going on between two different computers talking, people solving problems, customers visiting, and they can contain a lot of different things, a lot of things that are really important. Things like emails, website visitors, VPN traffic, all the way down through more sensitive information like credit card information, customers, and even phone calls. And so what happens is that when something's going wrong, capture files usually contain the answer. When there's a problem on your network, either something's slow or there's an issue elsewhere, capture files are going to help you find that out. A lot of network troubleshooting is done using capture files. And right now, today's packet analysis is usually done all alone. You end up tethered to your computer running specialized software. It's not very portable. Collaboration is sharing and really difficult. These files can tend to be large and hard to share via email. You end up doing a lot of duplicated work. Every time you open up a file, you end up starting from scratch. And it's not very web friendly. We've come so far in recent years on making everything collaborative over the web, and packet files are one of the last remaining things to get to that point. For those of you who do a lot of packet analysis right now, this should look very familiar. This is Wireshark. Wireshark is an awesome tool. It's really powerful. They have a fantastic community. It's an expert level tool that lets you do a ton of things, but it was really designed before the internet as we know it today. This level of collaboration and this ability to share online with everything. Wireshark doesn't do that yet. You're really stuck by yourself using it. I don't know if you've used it, if you've ever tried to share your results of using it. What you end up doing is having to write an email, something like this, where you can't send them the file because it's too big to email, but you really want them to see some of the analysis that you've worked on. But nothing's easy, and you got to send a lot of detailed instructions. You end up sending screenshots across, all sorts of things, just in order to get somebody else to look at the same results you had just looked at. And of course, like everything else, someone would need this yesterday. So this is where CloudShark comes in. CloudShark brings you collaborative packet analysis through a web interface and makes all of this so much easier. Packet analysis doesn't have to be a pain anymore. Some of the things it helps you do is centralize all of your capture files from multiple sources. You can store them in the archive within CloudShark. You can store metadata associated with each of them. You can tag them all to know where they came from, when they came from, if they're related from a particular data center, from a particular customer issue, or related to some sort of bug tracking number that you may have associated with it. CloudShark also lets you search for captures based on the name, size, date, any of this metadata that I was describing. So no more are you stuck digging through a directory full of capture files or wondering where a particular trace of an example problem that you'd had disappeared to, or losing thumb drives with important customer data on them. In addition to all the management and storage capabilities, CloudShark also lets you do analysis through a web browser, through the web. You can see this looks very much similar to Wireshark, but it lives in this web-enabled environment that makes it really easy to share with different people. All of the tools built into CloudShark, such as follow stream, display filters, graphs, SSL analysis, and other HTTP analysis tools, they're all accessed through URLs. It's all just through a web interface. So it's really easy to share any analysis that you've done with other people. Speaking of sharing, everything is just a URL. Everything in CloudShark can be accessed via a simple URL. It also gives you the ability to add annotations and comments on packet files that let you describe in line exactly where the problem packets are. It also has a full user-based controls where you can decide per capture who can see that data. So really the best way to get a better idea of what this all is just to dive in. I'm going to do some live examples. I'm going to show you uploading some captures, walking through applying some tags, doing some analysis, and sharing those URLs with other people. Like I said at the beginning too, if there's any questions as I'm going, please type them into your webinar question box, and I'll check from time to time to make sure we're getting the answers to you. So here's one of my directories full of capture files. And let me pull up CloudShark. I have it running locally on a demo machine I have here. Just pull that out of the way. And so the first thing you'll notice is I have to log in. I'm going to use the admin account for now so we can see everything. And we're not going to save the password. So here we are in CloudShark. This is the default view where you have an archive of all the other capture files that have been uploaded in the past. You can see I've sorted them by the date they were added here, but we've also can keep track of the file name, which users are associated with which. We could even look at packets by the number of files. But what's really awesome too is the ability to tag and organize your captures that way. So what I really want to do is go back here, grab a bunch of these files here, and I want to get them into CloudShark. And the easiest way to do that is to pick them up, drag and drop into your browser, drop them in, and let CloudShark upload them. I'm running CloudShark right here locally in my own network. Really fast to transfer data back and forth. With a simple click, we're in. We're looking at the CloudShark packet view. And you can see, if you're familiar with Wireshark, that this should be really familiar to you. We have the packet summaries up here. If you click on a packet, you can see in the middle pane the decode of that packet. We can expand different things, look down at different options, look at some of the existing analysis. All very similar. Likewise, we can apply display filters just like you're used to. So let's look at the HTTP traffic in here. Here's a GET request. We can drill down. We can look exactly at the request that was captured in this session. Before, when I mentioned that everything was a URL, we can show you how this works now, where I've taken this capture and uploaded it. It's now stored within CloudShark. I've applied this display filter, HTTP, and it's already updated my URL here, which makes it really easy to share. And to show you even better how to share with annotations, we can actually add an annotation here and say, look at the HTTP headers of this request. So that might be a note to a colleague of mine, maybe an application developer, who is wondering what's happening with this particular request. Well, we can now show this to them. And what we can do is take this URL and copy it. We can paste it into an email, into a chat message, into a bug tracking system, anywhere we want to copy and paste, and send it to them. And they end up looking at the exact same list of packets that I just was. The same display filter's been applied. My annotations that I've added are included, and all of the packet data that is there is available to them. And they didn't have to get the entire file. This one's kind of small. It's only 2.3 megabytes. But for larger capture files, you would imagine it's very difficult to email these back and forth between people. Now they can just access the file from one place through their web browser. All of our analysis tools work this way as well. One of the very popular ones when dealing with either HTTP analysis or other sort of text-based protocols is follow stream. We can look right here and actually see the HTTP request and response and go so far as open it in a new window. And again, you have that same URL that's really easy to share with different people. There are a variety of analysis tools built in, and we're adding more with every release. The other great thing is looking at your graphs. CloudShark has some awesome graphs built in that look really good and are really dynamic and easy to use. I'm going to open up one of this current display filter actually, so it will graph the HTTP traffic against the rest of the traffic in the file. And as you can see, most of this is other traffic in the file. I can turn that off. Here's all the HTTP. We can zoom in on a particular peak and see the byte rate for different amounts of time. If I want to open this up in a new window, again, it's just a URL. I can send this to my colleagues. I can share this information with them however I want, in addition to being able to export it as a PDF for reports. All of CloudShark tools work like this. Wherever you are in CloudShark, you can access the analysis tools just by a URL. Going back to the main interface of CloudShark, we see our main capture archive. We've talked about that. And since I logged in as the admin, we actually have access to the setup menu. Now this we're going to talk about in a different webinar. We're not going to get too involved in this, but I did want to point out a couple things. One is the user and groups model, where every person who has access to CloudShark has to log in. You can keep your capture files secure that way. There are actually groups you can create that have different permissions to access different parts of CloudShark and different capture files. So if maybe the QA team is only worried about one particular set of files, but the network ops team is worried about a different set, they could exist on the same system and work with both. We have ability to manage and import RSA keys to do SSL decryption. We also have a full API for uploading and accessing your capture files through automated scripts. I'm going to switch back into my presentation. So that's a pretty good overview of CloudShark. It does a ton of things to help you manage your network capture files, handle it in a collaborative web-based environment, centralize all your storage of your capture files. You can do the analysis from there. Like we showed, you can do all of your sharing just with the URL. And you don't have to be doing packet analysis by yourself anymore. I'm going to check the questions box and see if there's any questions right now. If you have something, send us a note. Give people a few minutes to come up with any questions they have to ask, but by all means. All right, one question's come up, deals specifically with Wireshark preferences and some advanced decoding preferences that are available. And CloudShark actually does allow you to use the Wireshark preferences file to do very detailed and expert level tweaking of your analysis. The same exact Wireshark file that exists on your Wireshark system can actually be imported into CloudShark and used there. And it's definitely a topic that we're going to cover in a future webinar dealing with more advanced analysis techniques. Thanks for the question. So one question I didn't address was, where do capture files come from? Capture files can come from all over your network, whether they're from switches, from applications, from users' desktops, if there's problems on their desktop, or for, say, an example where, hey, the printer won't print. Common questions. Capture files come from all over the place. CloudShark does not do the capture piece. CloudShark will receive captures from anywhere in your network, but it itself doesn't do the capture piece. Another detailed question about uploading and coming back to the API that I was showing you. Let me go back over to that and take a look. So CloudShark's API allows you to define tokens that have different access permissions that can be used within scripts. What you can do is take a token, embed it into your existing script, and have access to various parts of CloudShark, such as uploading, downloading, and searching. A good place to learn more information about the API is from our support site at support.cloudshark.org. And you can click over to the API reference at the top of the page. And you can see all the different methods and a good overview of how the API works. So a good question we have is this mobile friendly? And this is very mobile friendly. CloudShark is all HTML. It doesn't use any additional Flash or any additional custom components. It will run on any device from anywhere. We joke about, not wanting to do packet analysis on your iPhone, but it is possible to do. It works on iOS, Android. We love running it on Google Chrome on any platform, and it's a really good alternative to installing Wireshark on something like a Chromebook. Another good question, how is this deployed? Well, CloudShark lives in your private network. It either is deployed as a VM that can exist on any current VM container that you have, or as a standalone hardware appliance. We have a few different versions of CloudShark depending on the size of your team, and those different versions can be deployed in any configuration, either as a VM or a private appliance. At the moment, we do not offer a public cloud software as a service option. We do not offer a hosted account. But depending on customer feedback, that could always be something that happens in the future. Initially, a lot of people are not comfortable with having their capture files pushed up into the cloud and onto a third-party service. And we've really focused on the security of having the CloudShark appliance in your own network. If you're back on our CloudShark support site, you can go over to the main site and actually look at the different tiers of CloudShark and be able to choose the CloudShark that's really perfect for your company, your installation. The 3 different tiers include Solo, which is great for if you're just one person and only need one person accessing CloudShark or accessing your capture files. Professional for smaller teams up to 5 people. And then CloudShark Enterprise, which has unlimited numbers of users and a whole bunch of other benefits as far as tying into existing authentication. That can be found over at our appliance.cloudshark.org site. Last question came in about merging capture files before uploading. You can upload from multiple sources, and right now CloudShark will open each one individually. If you wanted to merge them together, they should be done before you upload. Thanks for the question. So what do you do now? Well, I showed you a little bit of our support site, support.cloudshark.org, but really visit cloudshark.org and learn more about how CloudShark will fit in with your exact use case. We have a trial that you can sign up for. It lets you run CloudShark for 30 days in your own network on a VM. It's a really great way to see exactly what CloudShark can do for you and how it can make your life easier. We also have a YouTube channel. It's got a bunch of different videos on there showing off different examples of different technologies and different ways we analyze the capture files. And also, we're going to be having a series of these webinars presenting various topics. We really just skimmed the surface this time. Some of the future topics that we're thinking about doing, like I mentioned with the API and how to automate using CloudShark's API, we're going to do a deeper dive into the graphs and how graphing can help you visualize and understand what's going on in your network files. We're going to do one on VoIP, analyzing voice over IP phone calls. I mentioned the ability to do SSL decryption, which is a really cool topic, and RSA key management, where we're able to keep keys private but still let you view the decrypted results. And lots of other topics. We're starting this off as a series. We're also going to be taking feedback on other topics that people want to hear and see examples of. So please, let us know what you want to see, and we'll be happy to show you all the different things CloudShark's able to do. Well, thanks for attending, everybody. Wanted to just give you a quick overview of what's going on here. Get everybody in, out, on with their day, on with lunchtime. A few of us here have to go back to patching Bash. I don't know if you guys have run into that there, but that's what we're doing the rest of our day, dealing with that latest vulnerability there. So always good times in the network troubleshooting system admin area. If you have any other questions, you can email them to us at info@cloudshark.org. You can also email them to us through our website at cloudshark.org.